Minasan konnichiwa, YONGGI-BAKA desu. Atarashi video e yokoso. Kono haru wa romantic comedy anime ga takusan arimasu.
なんか僕よりも彼氏みたい。
私は愛がすごく愛してる。なぜなら愛バカですから。愛のバカ。バカバカバカ。でも、ロマンティックアニメがあります。そして、私は嬉しいです。本当に。There exists a somewhat long list of rom-coms airing this spring season, but once you've seen a couple, you begin to realize that rom-coms are pretty formulaic, sharing a lot of similarities, character archetypes, story beats, timelines, events, situations, and etc. There are a bunch that I'm keeping up to date with that I've teased in my previous videos, all centered on L-O-V-E, but are nuanced enough to keep things somewhat interesting. I'm using that word very liberally here. Rom-coms come in a dime a dozen, and when you boil it down, should be 50% rom and 50% com. Simple. But the ones that really stand out and leave a lasting impression on you are the ones that sprinkle in dramatized realism, making the characters more believable and allowing them to breathe, making a good rom-com great. That's why in recent memory, I absolutely adore Sono bis Doru wa Koi o Suru and Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san. The first rom-com that I'd like to mention is the only one not to take place during high school, Riki ga Koi ni Ochite no de Shitimita, which follows a couple of science nerds who want to scientifically prove that their feelings for one another are real. So smart, yet so baka.
本当に楽しかった。好きだとか好きじゃないとかどうでもいいから。
Honestly, I'm surprised this anime got a second season because I found the first season to be pretty repetitive and ended on a conclusive note. Spoiler alert. But their inquisitive minds will have them conducting even more zany experiments to prove that their feelings are real. At least the main girl looks pretty smashing in a lab coat. The next group of rom-coms are sort of meh in the rom department, and each have a character aside from the main two that I'm supposed to care about that I find more interesting and attractive. From a narrative perspective, that is. The first of this grouping is Komi-san wa Komushu desu.
コミュ症とは人付き合いを苦手とする症状またはその症状を持つ人を指す
I've said it before, but since it is centered on a communication disorder, I would have liked it to be treated a bit more meaningfully, and not necessarily as a rom-com. After 2 seasons, the person I look forward to seeing most is the mother of the Komi household, Komi Shuko. Next up is Kawaii dake janai Shikamori-san.
僕の彼女はとても可愛い。でも時折
The main character is really bland and overly reliant on the titular Shikamori-san, who's not just cute, but is so much more. Like an enabler, for example. Aside from the 2 leads, the person I would like more time dedicated to is the mother of the Izumi household, Izumi Motoko. To round out this grouping is Kaguya-sama wa Kokura Setai.
ウルトラロマンティック君のシルエットキラキラリきらめいて全生徒会腕相撲トーナメント
which includes a strong ensemble of cast members to keep the anime lively and flowing when the 2 leads are at a standstill. Of the characters that I would like to see more of is Kaguya-sama's mysterious and capable right-hand woman, Hayasaka Ai. All 4 of the mentioned anime have a premise that gets kind of tiring for not building on the core dynamic that was presented at first. It's 2 leads becoming flat as to what you would expect out of a good rom-com. Luckily, there are other rom-coms with leads that carry the story to make a more well-rounded piece. Kicking things off is Koi wa Sekai Seifuku no Atode, a rom-com that borrows many tropes, but is centered on a Romeo and Juliet-esque styled romance between two star-crossed lovers that's too pure, lighthearted, and all over the place to end in tragedy. The Romeo of this rom-com is the leader of a Power Ranger-esque hero squad. The Juliet, a princess of an evil organization hell-bent on destruction. They both find love for the first time in their lives in the other. I'd also like to mention the fact that they're also both normal high school students, cause why not? It's an awkward mismatch of elements with just as awkward leads entering into a battlefield that we would call romance, tiptoeing a fine line to keep their love a secret, leading to endearing and hilarious moments in their wake. Love can make us all cuckoo, and that becomes evident in Kako no Inazuke, the story of two babies who were switched at birth, led very contrasting lives, met as teenagers, and to make up for the lost time without their biological spawn, their parents hope that they one day get married. If my short description didn't draw you into all of the madness, it follows a lot of story beats that you would expect out of a rom-com in an unexpected way as their lives are forcefully intertwined. There is rhyme and reason to all of the chaotic events that ensue. One's family is completely loaded, the other is led by delinquents who live a modest lifestyle, leading to the creation of a regular odd couple of children, whose parents won't let them separate, creating a whole new meaning to keeping it in the family. They're all a bunch of cuckoos to me. Last but most certainly not least, my favorite rom-com of the spring season, Aha Ren-san wa Haka Renai, a somewhat fresh take on the rom-com genre as it explores the romantic idealisms that stem from friendship and navigating through the high school experience together in a way that's completely platonic. Completely.
無視されてね
The two leads fumble through their high school day-to-day, and the comedic elements that arise from their interactions, while they may be hyperbole, are not outlandishly done so, focusing on their shared experience as classmates, even as friends, as platonic partners who begin to understand one another a bit better each day. Platonically. Both of the exaggerated in their own way leads make Aha Ren-san wa Haka Renai such a delightful anime. Their social clumsiness playing off of the others and coming together to create a platonic harmony. The most recent episodes, and I think we're on episode 8 or 9 as I filmed this, have really elevated the anime, making things a smidge more interesting and Aha Ren a bit less indecipherable. Platonically. Maybe. You may be asking yourself, is there still anything love can do when it comes to rom-coms? Well, you better bet your butt that there's still a lot that rom-coms can cover. But in future seasons and years, we'll get to it when we get to it. Anyway, that's all for today. Let me know in the comments below if there are any rom-coms that I mentioned that you're keeping up to date with. Or if there are any rom-coms that you're keeping up to date with that's not mentioned that I should be keeping up to date with. 今日はこの辺です。ありがとうございます。ずっと元気でいてね。じゃあまたね。